Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. It's great actually to be presenting to you, and I'm really honored to be one of the presenters among these great list of speakers you have. Actually, Al-Kendi is kind of a close friend and brother as well, so I'm happy actually to meet everyone and listen to these amazing talks. Okay, so actually when I got the invitation about talking in this event, I said, okay, everyone is talking now about the trends, especially ChatGPT in the recent few months, and how it's amazing, it's great, and it's a great natural language processing tool. And it's doing well as well with Arabic. Sometimes you can trick it easily, but it's actually better than anything that has been available so far. So it's really good. So I said, okay, let's give you a quick brief summary about the history of NLP in general, and with some story on the Arabic NLP in specific, because I have been working in the field for years now, and I actually can give you a summary about what happened over years. So simply the outline of my talk today, inshallah. Just first of all, this is my research interest, actually, as our assistant mentioned. Like natural language processing is one of the big things I'm working on. Which is simply using AI to predict something from the text. So you have seen actually what the previous two talks, especially the previous talk from Dr. Kendi, it's about images, about videos, about speech, but this one actually is mainly about text. So natural language processing is more about text. Like if you say that the piece of text is the sentiment there is positive or negative, is it sarcastic or not, what is the topic discussed, is it politics or sports or whatever. And the other line of research I'm doing is computational social science, which is actually using AI to predict something about the people themselves, about the societies, and actually how to understand actually what actually make people or the societies make some decision. But I will not come to, actually, I'm not going to speak about any of my work. I will be just giving you a big overview about the field itself in natural language processing. This is my focus today, inshallah. So the outlines is very simple. It will be a very brief history about the NLP in general. And the other second part will be about the very brief history for the Arabic NLP itself, the Arabic language itself. And just this is an overview. I will not have technical details. I will just talk to you. And this is actually designed for a general audience. So even if you have a background in agriculture, hopefully you'll be able to understand my talk, inshallah. I don't have a single equation in my slides. So just relax, understand the history. And if you have any questions, let's speak about it, okay? Okay, so natural language processing, how it was happening from the 1980s. I think this is maybe before a lot of us may actually were born at that time anyway. But let's actually see the progress of this field that has been there for over 50 years, and what has been the progress over these years, and how we have reached now the ChatGPT technology at this stage. So in the 1980s and early 1990s, actually, the main work in natural language processing, which actually translates to معالجة اللغة الحية, is simply based on rules. So you try to see a sentence and you say, okay, if I found this word coming after this word, then probably this is actually the decision I need to take. And actually, most of the work was done by linguists. So people who are actually experts in linguistics would actually work and would actually try to develop these rules. A very simple example, if I need to see if a sentence has a positive or negative sentiment. So you can say a rule, okay, if I found the word happy, أو سعيد in Arabic, in the sentence, I can guess that the sentiment is positive. If I found the word sad, then it's actually negative. So there is no machine learning at all, it's just some rules, you put some rules and you try to actually use it to learn something about the text. And actually, if you notice, the biggest conference in NLP is called Association for Computational Linguistics, ACL. This is the largest one. And you can see the word linguistics there. It's actually about computational linguistics, how you can make linguistics rules, but make it computational in somehow. And it has been developing the same over years, but of course, using currently machine learning and big language models that is used. But the name remained the same, Association for Computational Linguistics. It's all about linguistics at that time. And the main skills that someone who would like to work in this field needs to work in NLP, the main skills actually that he should have a strong background in linguistics. For example, you cannot get someone working on Arabic NLP and he is bad in grammar, for example. ينصب المفعول ينصب الفاعل ويضم المفعول به. It's not the solution. He will not be able to work. He needs someone that knows actually linguistics and actually building lexicons. How you can build a dictionary, for example. These are all the positive terms I can think of. These are all the negative terms I can think of. So we can use these dictionaries to actually check if it's in the text, and then we can make a decision it's a positive or negative sentiment. This is just an example. So this actually has been there for years, and most of the work was doing in this area. Then actually came to the 1990s till the 2010. It's around 20 years where actually statistical methods started to be actually very popular, where the basic machine learning models at that time were coming out, like naive Bayesian, like random forest, like support vector machines. And you actually, even early language models came out at that time. If you have someone old enough working in this field, there's actually stuff like SRILM. It's actually a language model which is used a lot for especially speech recognition, but it's actually about deciding which term to select. If you have seen Assalamu alaikum wa, what should I expect next? So okay, let's check the first two words. The next one probably is wa rahmatullahi. Then actually you can make a decision about the next word between several candidates. And at that time, it was really simple language models, not that large. And the machine learning models were actually very simple ones, so like naive Bayesian, random forest SVMs. And the main skills to work in this field, to be working in this field, it's not important that much. It's good to know linguistics, but it's not the main actually important skill. You need actually to get some skills about data labeling, how you can label your data, and to do feature extraction. Actually, it's a very nice slides from Dr. Al-Kindi about actually feature extraction for images, for example, how you can learn that this is a car. In text, it's the same thing. How you can, what are features you can use? The simple ones would be that the words itself, you can be features, or sometimes you can say, okay, for English, for example, let's see if there is a capital letter at the beginning of the word, or maybe there is a question mark at the end. It can give you some information about text, and you make the machine learning make the decision at the end of this is actually what it would be. For example, again, the sentiment analysis example, I'm not going to say happy is a positive word, but I'm going to say, I am very happy that I'm giving this talk is a sentence which has a positive sentiment. And another sentence, I am very sad that I am not in person attending this talk is actually a negative sentiment. And you make the machine learning from many examples, learn that the word happy and the word sad correlates more with actually the positive and negative sentiment. So it's coming from machine learning and with some feature extraction. Then comes to the 2010, 2013 till 2018. This is actually what has been in the last talk talking about the deep learning methods came out. And it has a huge impact for the computer vision community, which actually you have seen in the last talk, and the speech recognition community as well. A big improvement. So you're talking about word error rates. Actually, it was a very nice slide. If I could copy it here, it would be very useful. That it was very high word error rates. Then came these deep learning models, and it's wow, it's actually reduced a lot from 30%. Now it's now only 10 or 5%. So it was great, actually, performance. Huge impact for this computer vision and speech. But when it came to the NLP, it didn't have the same impact. Actually, it turned out that the improvement was not that high. And the main reason for that is that for vision and for speech, the signal was really hard to guess it's really hard. For actually images, it's just pixels. For speech, it's a sound signal. So extracting features was really hard. But for the text, it was just words. And words are clear and easy. And people try to come with some solutions actually to have a representation for these words. For example, the word embeddings, which actually came out in 2013. People try to see actually, can we put the words in a graph so we know that actually the relationship between a man and a woman is the same relationship between a king and a queen, for example, and is in this area. If I said a man minus a woman plus a king, it will actually reach to a queen, for example. And this actually was popular at that time. People tried to use it, and they started to use deep learning with it. It led to a very small improvement, not that much improvement. And actually, people who said, okay, maybe the deep learning actually is mainly for speech and vision, but for NLP, it's not that strong impact we had. And the skills at that time was mainly about how you can do a better representation of the words in the space, like word embeddings, to get a better performance. And there was some slight improvements over years, but not that big impact. However, after that, from 2018 till 2021, came out what we call the transformer-based language models, which is the earlier generation from the ChatGPT you hear about. It's actually the ones came from 2018 till 2021. We get several language models, big language models, about which we call Elmo. One example of it. BERT is another example. GPT, the first GPT, not GPT-2, not GPT-3, or 4, what we have now. They came out with different architectures, as you can see, and it actually started to make a very large boost in performance. So I can say what the 2010s for computer vision and speech was actually the 2018 for natural language processing. We started to see the big difference in improvement in performance in 2018 only for NLP, based on this large language model. And the main thing here was actually simply just about collecting large amount of data and tune the model with it. You don't need to do feature extraction anymore. You are not required to do feature extraction, because actually now these models work very well, and it has a large number of parameters in millions and hundreds of millions, and it could actually do the work for you. Simply, we need just simple examples. Again, the example is about I'm happy, I'm sad, and give it to the model, and it would learn very well without you have to do, say that, extract the word or do anything. Just give the sentence, it would learn it from itself. And this actually was the big thing. Then in 2022 and beyond, we came out to this actually of very large language models, ChatGPT and GPT-4, actually that came out tuned for conversations. And they included some new technology, which is actually like reinforcement learning with the human in the loop. And actually, it was interesting that the performance was really good. It started to be get the attention for many people, even outside the field, like yourselves or anyone else. They started to be very impressed. It's really working. But the problem here was the cost of training. So the cost of training of these models is huge. We are talking about tens of millions of dollars to train a model of this. And the amount of skill, actually, this is actually something we are thinking about. What would be the skills required to work here? It's not about feature extraction. It's not about anything. Actually, one of the things actually people are saying now, that a new skill that people started to gain in the last few months, only 2-3 months, but after this model is like, for example, prompt engineering. How to ask the right question for this model to give you the answer you need, because you can trick it somehow. So how you ask the right question, but this is more engineering or just trial and error, not research anymore. So there actually is still more actually things that we need to think about. What are the skills that you need to work on this kind of new era? We are still learning it. But one of the things actually I think is important is actually about efficiency. How you can make the cost of training these models more efficient instead of it's that really expensive at the moment. And just to give you a summary, this is just a paper just published yesterday, showing you in the last only 3 years. These are the models which has more than 10 billion parameters for training. You can see how it's developed tremendously from 2020 till actually 2023 at the moment. All the companies are competing, and actually, I think the sad thing in this graph, it's all coming from industry. Nothing is coming from academia. All industry, because of the cost, which is a big problem, to be honest, about the research and actually the academic. Now we are in the University of Tripoli. How we can do this kind of research? How we can make the academics be able to do this kind of research? It's really expensive. And this is actually a big question that is still to be answered. We still have, it's a problem in the community at the moment. Okay, this was the quick summary about the NLP in general. What about the Arabic NLP, the story of the Arabic NLP? It will be quicker because we already understand what happened over the last 45 years. Now in Arabic, just one quick thing about Arabic, because I realize this is information that not everyone knows, even including the Arabs themselves. We know that Arabic now is actually currently the 4th largest language on the internet. And it's spoken by over 400 people, and it's actually, but there are 2 types of Arabic we're talking about. The modern standard Arabic, the one you hear in the news, like the one you hear in Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, the official news in each country. This is MSA. It's the same across all the countries. Everyone understands it. And there is the dialect Arabic. اللهجة المصرية, اللهجة الخليجية, اللهجة المغربية. These are different from one region to another. Even within the same country, it can actually be different. مصري صعيدي versus مصري من اسكندرية versus مصري من القاهرة, for example. So how these are the dialects. These are the 2 types there. And there are some challenges about the Arabic language that we, as Arabs, because we are Arabs, we don't realize it. For example, in the Arabic text, we don't write its short vowels and the pronouns are attached to the words. So if I'm writing this sentence in Arabic style, if I just remove the short vowels, it will be something like this. Because Arabic, if you transliterated it to Arabic, you will write ba, kaf. You will not write ya. And actually, we attach the and to the words. So it will be something like this. So imagine reading English in this way. This is actually how we read Arabic. We don't write the diacritics, tashkil, because we know we are trained to read it without diacritics. And we even attach it, and it's fine for us. And this is why it's sometimes it's challenging, because I find the word kutub, is it kutubu or kataba or kattaba or kutiba? Each one has a different meaning. But for us, we are trained to this. It's actually something we are learned to. But the machines, when you get training it to the machine, it has set additional challenge for the machine to be able to actually make a distinction between all of these variations of the same word. Also, one of the things is that the word itself, it changes based on its grammatical position in the word. For example, the word children, abna. Here, if I'm searching for the word abna on the internet, in Google, for example, in English, children, everywhere. But in Arabic, it depends. Al-abna is a different word. Abna'aha, abna'i, abna'una, abna'i, abna'uh. Actually, the same thing, even his children can be abna'ah or abna'uh based on actually its position in the word, grammatical, morphological analysis here. So, by the way, Google till 2003 was not doing stemming for Arabic. So if you search it for this word abna, you will not be able to match all the rest. So you can imagine how this was a severe problem. But of course, this has been solved afterwards. So we need additional processing for the Arabic terms to be able to do simple stuff like at least search and finding the words. And of course, the word wasayaktubunaha, if you are talking about translation, it's not just word to be translated in English, actually, and they will write it. It translates to 5 words in English. So how you do the stemming, separation, and translate this, it's more challenging. And if you like actually something about katab, if you added a alif in the middle, katib, it's actually a writer. If you added the alif second last letter, kitab, it's actually a book. So even the same word, the same root, it can actually have different meanings based on just mean fixes happening in the word. And the same thing for plurals, how you can make a plural. In English, mostly you just add an S, as most of these examples, but in Arabic, it's totally different. Rajul, Rijal, you just here added an alif in the middle here. In some places, here you add alif ta. Here you actually change the word with waw. You add a waw in the middle. Imam and imam, you kind of change the whole word. So how you can make the models understand this? And all of this, we're talking about modern standard Arabic, the official language. What about the dialects? We have 5 major dialects here: Egyptian, Gulf, Levantine, Maghrebi, Iraqi. However, they actually, if you go for the sub-dialects, it's actually over 20. And the challenges now becomes actually more challenging with more challenges. And different parsing, different morphology, it's different. For example, here, the same words, شو بدي أعمل, ماذا أفعل. It's actually, you can see, it's totally different from one dialect to another. Algerians say ما على بالي. I hope it's correct. So, and actually for something like wabi ulush, this is one word in Arabic and it translates to 7 words in English. And if you like to do part of speech tagging, I'd like actually to define if this word is a verb, a noun, an adjective. It's not one word, it's 7 words. Actually, it's actually 7 under part of speech tags. So doing this very simple thing is actually requires a lot of processing in Arabic. And of course, we didn't talk about Arabizi. زي الجملة دي, زي الجملة دي كده. It's actually written in English. So all of these challenges has been facing the community over the last 30, 40 years, and people were actually finding solution for these problems. Just, I'm not sure if you are, I know that most of you are Arabs, but I'm not sure if you have realized that how complex is our language. This is just some few examples here. Okay, what about the history? In general, it's lagging behind English. It has been always lagging behind English. I would say in the recent, I would say it was lagging like 10 or 15 years early in the 1990s. However, in the last few years, I would say it's like lagging 2-3 years only behind English, but it's actually still lagging behind English. It needed to build more advanced pre-processing techniques like stemming and segmentation. You cannot just take the word like it, actually have to parse it and actually split it. Part of speech tagging is more challenging. MSA versus dialects and the resources actually as Dr. Kendi mentioned, we have less resources than other languages. The history is very similar. Yeah, it was started by rule-based statistical, then large language models, which is the situation now. So let's have a quick thing. In the 1980s, it was actually mainly about the rules and linguistics. And I would say the pioneering in this, it was not academia. It was actually a company called Sakhr. I'm not sure if anyone who heard about this company before, but if you have the old computer, actually, it's a keyboard that has everything. It was a computer at that time. They were first to introduce this to the Middle East, to the Arab countries, and they started to develop a lot of technologies like translation system, like speech recognition system. It's all based on rule-based. It's actually all rule-based. It was really interesting at that time, and they were actually doing most of the work. Then came the 1990s, and statistical methods started to appear. The academia was still not that much work as well, still minimal. But most of the work was done in industry. I would say companies like IBM. I was in IBM in the 2000s, but at that time IBM started some work, and RDI, actually another company in Egypt, that actually started to do some statistical methods to solve the problems using some basic machine learning. Then in the 2000s, DARPA, which is defense ministry in US, invested a large amount of Arabic Arabic NLP research in the universities. And actually, it all came around the time where they were invading Iraq. So when they started to move to Iraq, and it seems they have been planning it, because the fund started even by the late 1990s. They spent a lot of money to be able to do Arabic NLP. And they started to spend the money at that time, which trained a lot of actually people. You will find now people who are coming from the Arab world, traveling to the US, trying to do a PhD. They started to find actually opportunities to do a PhD in Arabic NLP. And this actually was the first generation of Arabic NLP scientists has been trained. And at that time, it was focused on modern standard Arabic and the Iraqi dialect in specific. You can understand why. It was interesting because the statistical machine translation, at that time, it was focusing to translate the sentences from Arabic to English, but not from English to Arabic. So you can find system that at that time translating an Arabic sentence very good to an English sentence, but when you try to translate the English sentence to Arabic, it's really bad, because the focus was to translate the documents that they find in Iraq to English. They understand it, but they didn't care about us understanding the English language itself. So it was interesting actually history about how politics make a role in this. But as I mentioned, it trained a lot of Arabic NLP researchers at that time. They are the top in the field right now. There was no much attention to the other dialects at that time in this period. Then came the 2010s. Now more researchers came out, more tasks came out, and some dialects in the research in dialects started to begin. Several pre-processing tools came out, like MADA and Farasa. You can check those if you'd like to do any parsing for a sentence in Arabic and understand actually the part of speech tags, if it's a verb, a noun. You can do the stemming of the word. وَسَيَكْتُبُونَهَا, it can split it to you. These actually the most popular two tools available. And it was actually dialect-specific pre-processing. There were some pre-processing about this dialects. If it's Egyptian, you do some pre-processing. If it's Gulf, it's a different pre-processing. I participated in this work. And there was a lot of feature engineering, how you can make feature engineering understand to be able to do the machine learning. And word embedding didn't work for Arabic. People tried to use word embeddings. The one I described before in 2013, they started to replicate it for Arabic. It improved the English a little bit, slight improvement. In Arabic, it didn't work at all. It was really complicated for Arabic to make it work. And this has been happening till 2020. Remember that 2018 came the transformer-based language models. It came out, but it was actually mostly in English. Then 2020, language models for Arabic, large language models for Arabic started to come out. In 2020, the first one came as Arabert. It came out from AUB, American University in Beirut. And in 2021, just 1 year after, there were over 20 language models came that are specifically Arabic, including GPT-2 as well for Arabic. And in 2022, the RT5, which is a more advanced one, which I think over 1 billion parameters came out for generation. And honestly, I have been seeing this. All the work that you have been doing over years, these models just make it very simple. You don't need to do any pre-processing anymore. Don't need to do pre-processing. Just give the sentence, even in dialect, and tune the model, and it works very well, better than anything else. way better. So actually, it made a huge transformation for the Arabic NLP community. What about the present and future? As I mentioned, pre-processing is not that important anymore because the current models actually works very well even without feature engineering. I'm not doing any feature extraction anymore. Just give it the sentence, just training samples, and it learns. Dialects are not hard to handle anymore. If you have enough examples, it works well. We are still one generation behind English. We have GPT-2, but we don't have GPT-3 or GPT-4, nothing so far. Data is there, but processing power is not there so far. It's really expensive to train this model. The data is available. Arabic ChatGPT, are we going to have an Arabic ChatGPT soon? ChatGPT itself is doing okay with Arabic, but I think we can, as Dr. Kendi mentioned, we can build something that is actually suitable for our culture, understands our backgrounds. We can do that, but again, the processing power, how we can build something like this, it requires some investment here. What about the skills you need to work on this? You don't need to have any understanding of linguistics. Actually, you don't need to speak Arabic to do the work. It's actually not required anymore. Minimal and zero feature engineering at the moment. You don't need to do kind of any feature engineering, just prepare the sentence. All what you need is to prepare some training samples, run BERT or any transformer-based language model and tune it. And it started to work. It's actually I think the main skill is about how you can be smart in selecting your training sample to actually be able to create a better model. So in summary, data for Arabic in the Arabic NLP research, the data is okay. I don't think it is a problem. Large number of web pages in Arabic are available. There is social media there. It's a lot of Arabic in Twitter and social media. They find a lot of dialects. It's okay. Large number of reliable data sets are available already. There is actually a website called the Masadir. It's actually a great initiative done by a Yemeni colleague doing his PhD. Actually, it's have over 600 data collections for Arabic labeled by different things. You can go and just get it for free. It's really nice. The researchers itself, it's okay now. The growth actually is really large. 20 years ago, it was only 5 or 6 people doing the research. I was the second generation. It was around 2030. Now we are hundreds. So the latest WNLP workshop, currently it's a conference. It's a big conference for Arabic NLP, actually. The last time we are talking about over 100 research paper submissions and over 200 attendees attended. So the community is really expanding. And you can find a lot of support, a lot of senior people there. So actually myself, I graduated 7 PhD students. So this is actually a new generation. And actually I worked with the people who actually was graduated 10 or 15 years before me. So there are several generations now. The problem, I would say, is in the fund. It's not enough. It's not, the data is there, the researchers are there, technology is there. It's just about, give me $30 million and I will create for you the Arabic ChatGPT. But it's not easy to get it. So this is the challenge now. But I think with the current competition, it would be there very soon. That's what I expect. I expect with less than a year, there will be something out there because of the attention that it was grabbed to. And the challenge always is industry versus academia. Industry is always, but this is actually general, not just for Arabic. Industry is just leading this because of the resources they have compared to academia. And that's all for me. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
There are questions in the Q&A on the chat.
I can check. Right. Why the cost of training is really high? Because of the amount of parameters. Actually, there is a paper came out yesterday. It shows you're talking about 50 or 60 days using like hundreds of TPUs. This is a huge amount of cost because we are talking about large amount of data and huge amount of parameters. So the BERT models, for example, we are talking about 160 million parameter, or actually the largest one are maybe 500 million parameters. And it costs us around $30,000 to train a model on this with large amount of data. The new models that GPT stuff actually coming out, we are talking about hundreds of billions of parameters. So you can imagine, it's really expensive to train this. Getting these machines and this kind of TPUs and GPUs is expensive. And it takes a long time to train. So if I'd like to train it with a smaller amount, it will take me 5 years. So it's not feasible. You need to use TPUs and large amount of very advanced GPUs to be able to do it. I hope this answers the question. Could this?
Anit Agarwal asks, there's a, it's good for Arabic UbiAI that claims that they are better than ChatGPT for Arabic. Are you aware of that? And if so, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I know there are a couple of models released. One is by MBZ. Actually, it's by industry in collaboration by MBZ UAI. I would say it hasn't been fully assessed for performance. It's not fully assessed yet. However, last year came a model that was, they said actually this is the largest Arabic language model, and we tested it. It wasn't that great. And again, I didn't test the one by Mohammed bin Zayed University for AI yet, but it requires more testing to be sure it's working well. And if we have to test it, is it only for modern standard Arabic, or actually it includes also dialect? This is something to be tested. Okay, there is. I can read the questions, by the way. What is the benefits if we did a search or a model on dialect?
We don't have time for the Q&A, so we just take one.
No worries.
I have a question here, sir.
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much for Walid for this talk. I'm Dr. Abdulsalam Al-Wasri. I actually work on natural language processing, Arabic language and natural language processing. I just ask a question: what do you think the new direction for research in Arabic universities right now for Arabic natural language processing? We have seen from the slides that machine learning and deep learning has actually provided us with all the models that we need, and I'm not sure what kind of research that the students are going to do for their master's degrees and PhD. So in our, right now, all master's degrees here, they just go for models, and they just need the data set, and they train a model, and then they just get the results. And this is actually my perspective. Is not actually is what we have what we used to do before. So now we are using models. We're not doing anything. So what do you think about the new directions in this research?
Okay, this is a great question. So I would say yes. Currently, it's actually not even for Arabic. It's actually all the other stuff, because currently you have a language model, you train some data, and you just have a model that is doing the task. But I would say actually the biggest thing, actually, it's a big problem in the the NLP community, in the machine learning community in general, is the biases. So what about the data you prepare? Is it biased? Is it representing the task itself? You have to ask yourself the question many times, because the data labeling itself is very challenging now. It's because it's really important now. People, you don't just get some data and label it. You have to be sure it's actually representing the task. And there are some tasks that is really unresolved. For example, one of my PhD students just graduated last week, the last day of Ramadan, Ibrahim, and actually his work was about sarcasm detection in Arabic. If I said a sentence, how shall I know if this is actually the person is serious or actually is making a joke or just actually saying it sarcastically? So this is a really challenging task, and the best performing system right now is 60%. So this is actually some tasks that we didn't work on, and we also focus on the tasks that actually are related to our culture itself. So we don't have to keep doing sentiment analysis. It's kind of solved. Start with speech tagging. It's kind of solved. Find new tasks. Sarcasm detection. I would say actually fake news detection, for example, in Arabic. I would say religious tasks like question answering for fatwa, for example, and actually these kind of sensitive things that actually our culture is full of. These kind of people have been releasing since ChatGPT came out some over tools or actually technologies built over it. And the problem that they are using it for fatwa or for medical domain in Arabic, and these are very sensitive topics. You cannot just create something and bring it out. How you can make it actually to be careful, precision-oriented, not harmful, a lot of research to be done in this area. So there are many tasks that are still to be explored to be able to learn what is going on. So focus on our community, on our culture, and you will find a lot of things that hasn't been tackled. We don't have to do something that English or the other languages did it before. We can create our own tasks here.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Walid. I think this is, sorry, Dr. Yes, Dr. Walid.
Yes.
This is actually to have indicating the directions we can use, and they are still open. In this regard, actually, there is a Libyan called Ali Fadel. He's in with Amazon Jordan. He's doing a project called the Kutub Muyassara. They are trying to do actually using ready tools from ready AI tools. They try to do subtitling, and they do fragmentations, and they try to do a search within a media like lectures, محاضرات علماء, from religion perspective. They try to do a search within a media for after they do subtitling, and they're trying to do what they call it Sharia GPT. Where you ask a certain question, a religious question, and they try to get answer from certain resources. So this is a great project a Libyan person is doing along with his colleagues. I don't know if you have heard of this Al-Kutub Muyassara project or not, Dr. Walid.
No, it's great to hear about it. I know that there are many initiatives in the last period about it. And so there are a lot of things to explore. And as I mentioned, as long as we focus on our own culture, use our data, just get some people are asking, we don't have something like a Stack Overflow in Arabic that we can create coding in Arabic. Yes, we don't, but we have something like fatwas in Arabic that the other languages don't have. So we can have our own domains to work on.
Right. All right, thanks, Dr. Walid. Hopefully we can get to work again. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure too. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.